Morning, everyone. Morning, Bobby. Thanks for coming in.
Morning, Ed. How you doing?
Yeah, it's another week and I'm still alive, so that's a positive thing.
Congratulations.
Every day could be my last day. You never know.
That's true.
Or yours. It's why you should live, every day to its fullest.
Yeah.
Leave wherever you find better than you found it. That's my phrase for today.
Yeah.
So,
phrase for the day, huh?
Yeah. What the heck?
Remind me like Pee Wee Herman, word of the day, right?
Yeah. I forgot how he laughed.
Yeah.
That he was a weirdo. Yeah. Anyway. Move on, shall we? Tells you how old you are if you know Pee Wee Herman.
Oh man. Well, my kids kind of rediscovered it. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I thought they got rid of him after what happened to him.
No. And we watched a couple episodes and said, well, that's enough of that. I'm like, I can't believe my parents let me watch this. It's like I couldn't watch The Simpsons.
But you could watch that.
Pee Wee Herman, yeah. Yeah. And Miss Yvonne, I was like, why is there so much cleavage in a kid's show?
Want to get the boys in it.
Yeah. So,
all right.
So yeah, Pee Wee Herman no longer.
All right. I see rates are all over the place. Don't worry about them. Just again, the most important thing is find your house, lock in the rate, and move forward.
So now, once we get your offer accepted, if you're a first-time home buyer, even honestly, like people who have purchased a couple homes, it's normally so many years in between a purchase, you kind of forget what are in disclosures. And I just had this one come up recently, so I thought we'd kind of talk about it.
All right.
Mello-Roos. So normally when I ask someone if they know what Mello-Roos are, they say no, and I think I've heard that word once or twice, right?
They've probably never heard that word, because even in our industry, people don't understand what Mello-Roos is or how to spell it.
Yeah. Well, so Mello-Roos is a special assessment tax, right? And because these developments that they have are required to have certain infrastructure. And so the builders, rather than paying for it, work that into the taxes that you pay for, each individual homeowner pays for.
Right.
And so it's going to be something that's above and beyond what you were probably expecting. And it comes up, you can look it up online, but it's also in the NHD report. And so the NHD is the natural hazard disclosure. And it's normally about 50 pages, and it's going to go over everything where if there's a gas tank, like a fuel tank that's leaked around in the area,
right.
if there was
dry cleaners that had the special,
any kind of like what they consider, toxic chemicals. There's an ammo plant in Riverbank, an old, one, but so you have everything, right? You also see that there's a dam inundation area, right? And then the entire valley is in that, because if we have a couple dams break at the same time, we're all going to be flooded.
Really? All of us?
Yeah.
I guess I'll just go up to my cabin. I think I'll be fine.
I guess that's
if I could get up there.
Not the valley. Yeah. You got a boat?
Yeah. Well, look at recently the 130, I'm waiting for the 132 to come over the road there.
Yeah.
On the Tuolumne River to come over the road on the 132. It's pretty high.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So, but yeah, Mello-Roos. So people go like, well, what is that? Well, first of all, it lasts for 30 years, but it's like any tax, you have to petition for it to be removed.
Well, it's like a toll road. When they first put it in, it says it's only going to be here for a short period of time. Then they get this money and they go, you want to keep it.
Yeah. And if you don't say anything about it, and then it stays and it'll just be there indefinitely.
Right. But what you can do, and this is what I told some people to do, is you could, if you pay it off, because you can pay it off. Right, the whole amount, whatever that number is for the 30 years, you can pay, do a refinance once your house value is up, pay it off. Then you'd be the only house there with no Mello-Roos. Yeah. When you go to sell it, it's huge. Yeah. And then it's gone too, permanently gone, because they can extend it or do other things. The county can, and all, or the city, whoever it's paid for can come back. Once it's there for a while.
But what I will say about Mello-Roos districts is, some people, obviously no one's a fan of paying more, right? Having a special assessment tax, right? But it's paying for that infrastructure that's been built around there. So you're going to be enjoying, say you have a young family, right? You're going to be enjoying the neighborhood park. The fact that you have curbs and gutters, because actually lots of parts of Odessa that don't have sidewalks and curbs and gutters and storm drains and everything like that. So,
the county part,
yeah.
There is even on Brady. There is some homes that don't have, they have the curb, but they don't have a sidewalk. Did you know that? It's weird. It's
I have it in La Loma too.
Yeah.
So
it's the first thing I do when I bought that house, I put a sidewalk on there because they're walking on my grass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, put concrete. Now all of a sudden, it's not a big deal, right?
Right, exactly.
But so those are things you're going to find disclosures. That was kind of the oddball one I want to talk about because
I think a lot of
doesn't come
people,
up.
and I'm sorry, but a lot of people still don't understand it, and they don't. I just had one recently closed that was a new home, but it wasn't a track. It was built on a lot that was in a development that had Melrose, and they couldn't tell them originally how much it was going to be.
How's that?
I don't know. Yeah, it's like they should be able to tell you how much that number is. If it's, because the normal taxes that we use as a standard thing in our area is like 1.25 times the sales price is what your tax rate's going to be. Divided by 12, that's what it's going to be a month.
Yeah.
And that's what it is when it sells. But that's, again, the other thing people don't understand is supplemental taxes. Right. A year later, when they figure out that the house is sold, it's no longer worth the $300,000 the person owned it before you. Now it was sold for $600,000. The difference in those two is what they call a supplemental tax. When we set it up with an impound account, it's set up for the new tax rate, not the old tax rate, but the new tax rate. Yeah. So when you get that supplemental, you just send it to your lender and say, hey, can you pay this for me? Yes, we can do that. We have the money in here. However, if the county gets behind and it's longer than 12 months and February has come since then, they might have sent you a check, right? Saying, here's $2,000 that we didn't need because we overfunded your impound account.
Yeah.
And then you get this money. I always tell people, hold on to that money because what's going to happen is that money is going to have to pay the pay the supplemental taxes for you because you got that money back.
Yeah.
And so I always ask them when people call me, I got the supplemental. Like, did you get a check back? Yeah. Well, that's what was for this. Remember how we had that conversation in the beginning? No.
I always say, I'm going to tell you about something that was called the supplemental tax bill, and you're going to forget about it by the time you get it.
Right. And when you get it, just call the loan officer who did it so they can tell you how to handle it and they can run through the different scenarios. Yeah. But unless we know exactly how much it is, we can't really set it up. But here's what used to happen also. You get into the loan and then you 8 months into it, you're like, I want to do this to my house. I need more, and the values went up. So I refinanced, right? So I got rid of the PMI because, from when I bought it with 10% down, now it's worth more and I can do a refinance to get rid of the PMI. When we refinance it before that supplemental tax has happened, where the county has come and said, we reassessed it for this, we have to use what's on the books. So what happens is if you refinance in the first year, your taxes are going to get messed up.
Gotcha.
You follow me? Because we have to use the old person's rate, not the new person's rate, because you have to go on a refinance by what's on title, not what potentially is going to be on title, but what's on title right now. And so I've had it where a lot of places are like, my payment went down so much. I was sitting at a dinner and this one kid I won't get into it. And he's like saying how much his house payment went down and they refinanced in the first year. And I almost explained to him what they did to him, but it was like not worth my time.
Yeah.
You follow me? Because what's going to happen is when you do that, if you refinance in the first year, we can't set up the impound account right. And you're going to be short for taxes. So one or two things are going to happen. You're going to have to give them money so that your payment goes up just the $50 or whatever the number was supposed to be originally, and then not have to pay the shortage. This is a lot for a show, but you have to be careful. So if you do refinance in the first year, make sure you do it with somebody who can explain to you what was really going on. Because what happened with that guy, he's like, I saved so much more money with this company per month than anybody else. That's because they didn't explain to you about the taxes.
That you're going to pay the piper eventually.
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's like,
and it's probably going to be the time when you've set up your life around this lower payment.
Well,
now you're spending money.
Right. And it's like, okay, this is what they did to you, because they didn't explain this, that they had to use the current tax rate, not the actual taxes that's going to be in about 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. Because when everything was booming in the pandemic, counties got behind because they didn't have everybody working.
Yeah. Well, and I remember like supplemental tax would come out like, 3-5 months, right? Now I'm hearing it's as much as 12 months behind.
It's always been, see, back in 2005 and 4, that range, they were 18 months to 2 years out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and then it got to where it's about 12, it's on average about 12 months. is what I just tell people it's going to take at least 12 months. Sometimes it's 8, but it depends on the county.
Yeah.
But what's nice is like in Tuolumne County, where before we'd use 1 1/4 as the actual tax rate, right? As a supplement, we actually go in and get the actual current tax rate and use that now.
Gotcha.
But we still use 1 1/4 to start because it's just easier, right?
Yeah.
Instead of going to the county and go, hey, what's your tax rate exactly?
Yeah.
Because every county is different. Because let's go back to the supplement we were talking about. You have your base rate, and then you have all these additional stuff they add on to it. And that's the difference. It's supplement. I mean, I've seen some Mellorews that would normally be 1 1/4 for just a regular tax rate without Mellorews. And then now you add your Mellorews on it, it's 1.8% times that almost. And, so that's almost double your actual regular taxes on that. So, and I know in Salida, they have some Mellorews. I know in, what's the other place in Modesto that has a lot of it?
Well, in Riverbank.
Yeah, but also there's that old part of Modesto that still has it. I can't think of the name. Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know over off of Claus, there's some townhouses over there that have Mellorews too.
Yeah, it's just you have to understand what Mellorews is. Some Mellorews is not a big deal, but some Mellorews could be a really big deal.
Yeah, I've seen them as low as like $65 a month, and I've seen it as high as close to $400.
Yeah, so and you just have to understand that's going to be there. Yeah. And I know Patterson had some, other places had some.
Yeah,
the newer parts of Patterson had some, and it's, again, if you can pay it off and then refinance down the road.
Yeah,
have it gone, because it's so much cheaper than paying that extra per month, and then it's gone forever.
But yeah, Mellorew is kind of a weird word. Most people have never heard it, but that's I guess the in-depth explanation of
a little too much maybe
of what you'll find.
How about this? When you Mellorews, talk to your agent.
Yeah.
When it comes to the actual setting up your payment, talk to your lender.
Yeah. And that's, there's things I look for, right? Like when I first get a natural hazard disclosure, I looked to see if there's been any meth labs, right? And if it's in Mellarew's area.
If there's been a meth lab, they better tear that house down.
Yeah. Normally you're going to know if there's something.
Well, I'm just saying, if there's anything like that, that house needs to be torn down, because I don't care what you do, you don't get it out of there.
Yeah.
Unless you go back to the studs, and even then you could have problems.
Yeah.
It's just, it's horrible. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it, man.
All right. Make it a great day.
I think so.
Yeah. Good that we went over these things. If you're coming into Melrose, like I said, reach out to Bobby or myself. We can explain it to you. If you're working with us, we'll already explain it to you for your area you're buying.
Yeah.
All right. Reach out to Bobby. What's your phone number? 209-550-1087. And I'm Ed Parcaut everywhere. Make it a great day. And thanks again, Bobby, for coming in.
Thanks so much.